This is the Marathon Handbook podcast. I'm your host, Michael Doyle. I'm joined by my usual partners in crime, Katelyn Tocci, Alex Sear, and guys, we're going to close out 2025 with presents under the tree. We're going to do the Mega Mailbag episode to end mailbag episodes to close out this year, where we've got a ton, a literal ton. If you could weigh the email inbox, it would weigh a ton of questions.
It's 27 pages worth.
We have a Google Doc with 27 pages. That is correct. We're going to try to get through as many of them as humanly possible while entertaining you and doing each question, hopefully some justice. And if we don't get to every single question, well, there's always another episode and another week for another mailbag. Before we get into our first question of the day, Katelyn, we've been receiving a lot of feedback about your outfit at the running event, particularly on the YouTube channel.
Yes. My Canadian Tuxedo.
That's right.
Yes. That's right.
Denim on denim. I, for one, I feel like you can't ever wear too much denim. And this is not just because I'm Canadian, but like I feel like a pair of jeans just begs for a denim shirt, which then is requesting a hug from a jean jacket. And then why not put on a denim baseball hat afterwards? I have definitely worn 100% denim with the exception of socks and underwear in my life.
I need to see that. I was thrilled with the Canadian Tuxedo. I loved, I copied the Rory Linkletter. Where did we see him? Where he was in his Canadian Tuxedo, Chicago.
Right.
And
Yes.
I loved the look, and I thought, what better thing to go down to San Antonio with four Canadians surrounding me and wearing a Canadian tuxedo. Yeah.
I'll say there was a moment when you walked in front of the Puma booth with your blonde hair flowing, and I thought, my God, I think I'm seeing Rory again.
I wish I could run as fast as
Rory or Katelyn. Who knows?
Who knows? Look, I'm glad that you did, because I don't think I could have done the Canadian Tuxedo justice, and at risk of losing my Canadian citizenship, and I'm holding on dearly to that citizenship. I hate denim. I hate denim.
This is your hottest take of 2025. What?
I don't think I've ever seen you in a pair of jeans. Now that you're saying that,
I don't wear jeans. Let me clarify.
That's why.
I don't mind looking at denim. It's not that I think it looks ugly. If you can rock
careful,
it.
Sear.
Yeah, no, I think you rock it, and I think Rory rocks it too. I don't like wearing it. It's not comfortable. It's not warm. The colors are weird. My mom this used to be a thing at home. My mom used to force me to wear jeans to go to any type of function or event, and I hated it so much. And
You're like a jogging pants kid. You wanted to wear
sweats.
You want to wear sweatpants all the time?
Want to wear sweats. I have one pair of jeans, and they're from this company called Silver Jeans, and they're known to be stretchy, and that's the only pair of jeans that I have and wear.
Is it because you've got hockey player thighs? Is that what's going on?
Yes, but hockey player thighs inside of a runner's physique. So now it's like small thighs and an even smaller body around the thighs.
I was going to say, because they make jeans like athletic fit for those of us with larger legs.
There's this player for the Detroit Red Wings called Dylan Larkin, is one of the best players in the NHL currently, and is sponsored by one of these companies. And he has this commercial that goes on the TV, and he's like, I'm a hockey player and I have a big booty. And so players like me need a big booty pants or something like this. And it's totally true. Ever see Sidney Crosby walking around the street? The guy's a centaur.
Yeah, he's got these very large quads and hamstrings going on. Yeah. Low center of gravity.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't like denim. Okay,
You are correct
amazing.
in saying that the jean jacket I was wearing, that type of denim it's very stiff. And you're right when you're saying that that's not comfortable. So you have to get the jeans that are stretchy. I would say my jeans are more like, what do they call them? Jeggings. They feel because of that athletic fit. So they're stretchy. So they're actually very comfortable, because I see where you're coming from about uncomfortable jeans.
Big fan of the jeggings movement. I think that was much needed.
Yeah.
So you're not going to challenge that guy who wears denim, who wears jeans and runs a pretty quick marathon.
That's right.
Truett Haynes, I believe his name is. We've written some stories about him.
Truett Haynes. No, I won't challenge him on the race course or in the gym. He's like a big weightlifter too, isn't he?
Mhm.
He's like a pull-ups guy. I think he's got a pull-ups record too. He's done like 1,000 pull-ups in a row or something like that. He's nuts.
He can have his own. I will focus on running a fast half marathon without jeans.
It's just a lot of Body Glide.
Yeah.
If that guy doesn't have a Body Glide sponsorship, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
it's like, what a perfect marriage. Running a marathon in denim and Body Glide. Yes. Okay. Wow. We're off to a good start here.
Yes, we are.
So if you have a question for us, denim related or otherwise, you can email us at podcast@marathonhandbook.com and we will hopefully get to your question. We're getting so many questions that it's amazing. We love it. And we're trying to respond to every question we get, either with these mailbag episodes at the start of an episode, or we'll, in some cases, just respond to you privately, personally, if that's required, right? So yeah, email us your questions. You can send us also a voice note version of the question, which is really cool. I put a link to that. It's a platform called SpeakPipe where you can just hit record, and through your phone or your laptop, you can just speak to the device and it will record it for you and then send us the recording, and then we'll play it, which we're going to do right now with our very first question. Let's hear it. You guys ready?
Ready.
Yes,
let's do this.
Hi, Chris here, a mid-40s masters runner from New Zealand. Absolutely love the show. My question is about weight. It's a taboo subject that isn't covered on many running podcasts. But I'm someone that weight can fluctuate 10 to 15 kilograms quite easily. That's 20 to 30 pounds. And that makes a huge difference to running. And there's no way you're setting PBs if you've put that extra weight on. And I'm someone that, like a lot of people, can lose weight very easily when we reduce the amount of carbs we eat. However, having said that, that's not going to fuel you properly. So the kind of the balance I've tried to find is doing easy days with having been fasted, and then workouts fueling before, and trying to work out how much carb fueling is needed, whether it be the night before or the morning of. So wondering how you think through this. And please bear in mind that for people that don't put weight on easily or lose weight easily, this is probably not a thing. But there's a lot of people out there where this is probably the number one thing that is holding them back from setting great times. And it's there's just so much differing advice out there.
That is a great question. That is that is kind of a taboo question that we're going to take on. So let's dig into this here. First of all, are you guys weight gainers and losers? Like, how's your weight fluctuation? Candidly,
I don't fluctuate very much. What happens with me is, as soon as I stop running, I'll gain 5 pounds in the span of about 45 minutes, and then we'll keep those 5 pounds on until I start my season again. So I'm luckily a non-fluctuator.
I don't fluctuate that much, but I think a lot of women are going to relate to me when what I fluctuate with is water weight. So I tend to have a lot of that, and I can go up and down a couple of kilos from day to day, and that will be like a retention of fluid. And I can literally see it in my legs and really feel it. So that's something, but it's not weight as in, I think, weight gain or weight loss. It's just that fluctuation that I think a lot of women or people maybe in general deal with from running. So it could be like after a very long run, I actually might hold on to a lot of that fluid retention, but not a big weight fluctuator. What about you, Michael?
I think I am.
You are.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't own a scale in my home, so I don't track my weight closely. But just you run for a long enough period of time, you know your body really well, and I definitely know that I can I can gain weight no problem. I'm a tall guy. I am not a thin person by nature. If I didn't run, I have no idea what my body composition would be like. Probably just absolutely atrocious. But especially the amount of mini wheats I eat. So yeah,
good
I
fiber
fluctuated.
Very
regular. I fluctuated a good 30 pounds, not in a course of one season, but I have I'm thinking the lightest I've ever been to the kind of heaviest I've ever been has probably been like a 40 pound.
That's a lot.
156 was the lightest I ever was. And I think during COVID, I was like I stepped on the scale at one point, I was like 195 and I hadn't run in like 3 months. So it's just like, oh, okay, here we go. Yeah. Tackling this question, it is indeed a tricky one. Chris, I think it's taboo, not only because like weight is a touchy subject, and also talking about weight in a honest and really healthy, like not only just physiologically healthy, but also in terms of like psychologically healthy way is tricky, and it's very specific to each person. I think I don't love fasted running as a concept.
I don't either.
I don't like it purposefully. I guess I do sometimes, just because sometimes I run at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm not getting up at 3:30 a.m. to eat breakfast beforehand. So I guess in theory that's a fasted run, but I don't really think of it that way. I do think that runners, carbohydrates are, fast, easy fuel, and we're given license to consume them quite a bit, especially when we're doing longer distance training, like marathon training. But there's like a fine line between doing so in a healthy and healthful way and not. So yeah, what's your guys thinking on this one? I guess I don't have like an obvious, easy, quick solution to this, although it sounds like Chris is trying to approach this in a pragmatic, intelligent way where he's going to stay healthy while he's training and feed his body without going overboard, and seeing that huge weight fluctuation.
I think, I think, well, first and foremost, I think it's important to try to work with a nutritionist, and someone who specializes in sports. I mean, everyone's going to say, I got a guy, my guy's the best, but my guy is the best. So I've been working with the same nutritionist for, I think, over 10 years. Dr. Adrian Romero, he's here in Costa Rica, but he is just, really gets into the sports science of everything. And we've tried everything over the past decade. So I have done, the fasted running, the low carb, almost no carb diet, the this, the that with ultra running. I've tried a little bit of everything. And I have found that after this decade of trying different things is that it is like a happy medium. And I do something really similar to what you said, Chris. What I do is on the mornings that I know I'm going to have a hard speed workout or a long run, so 3 times a week, the night before, I will just make sure that dinner has some sort of carb, has some sort of good carb. And I will just make that, it's not like I'm going to do a carb load before those things, but I'm going to make sure that I make that I have some carb before those big runs. And I do always eat in the morning. It's not a breakfast, but it sounds like a packet of oatmeal or just something light about an hour before I do get up to do so, because it just makes me feel better when I'm doing speed workouts, and all the other days when I'm running easy as well. Just because not eating all night, I feel like my stomach will rumble while I'm running. Like I will hear it and I'll feel really hungry. So I don't do the fasted run, but I prioritize carbs the night before and the morning of any speed work and any long run. But I would say, since nutrition is so incredibly personal and individualized, I would say if you can, work with a sports nutritionist, because they will have you do tests. They'll be able to figure out what your body composition, how if it needs to adjust, what your body reacts to, what kind of macros it needs to take it, like what you work on specifically, because every body is different. So that would be my biggest piece of advice, is get some help there, because really they can give you a great idea of what you're specifically supposed to do.
Yeah, people underestimate the pitfalls that come with eating too little as well, right?
Yes,
like we're always
yes.
worried about eating too much. Oh, I'm going to feel heavy. But like there's a slew of bad things that can happen if you underfuel. And so just keep that in mind when you're making decisions. What I think of, especially when I'm in a deep training phase, is when in doubt, should I eat this or should I not eat this? Eat it. Go on the side of overeating as opposed to undereating. And there's this one phrase that I think is good to remember that I've even used for myself. I say I don't fluctuate that much, fluctuate a little bit. if I come towards a goal race and I feel like I'm a little bit heavier, I try not to think too much about it. You're not getting skinny so that you can run fast. You're running fast or running a lot so that you're running fast, you're running a lot, and then therefore you get down to race weight. It's kind of reverse the thing, right? You don't start it with weight. Weight is just a byproduct of what you end up doing
sorts
physically.
itself out. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's always been my approach as well, is that if you get into training, especially if you're training for something like a half marathon or a marathon, and you're following a plan, you're going to find yourself running more and more for the most part. I mean, usually most training plans start ramping up with mileage and gets you to a peak week. And it's usually a pretty, no pun intended, steady diet of running. So yeah, I would say, and I think Chris is what he is trying to sort out here is he's somebody who gains weight easily. And I think maybe, I don't believe in restrictive eating so much, but Alex actually, our group, we've done a lot of traveling this year, spent a lot of time with Mr. Sear, spent a lot of time in like airports and restaurants and hotels with Alex. For a 30-year-old, you are the most responsible and grown-up eater of anyone I've been around in a while. You're very careful about what you eat. Alex's body is truly a temple, and
well, like also,
but
like
I'm not making fun of you. Though. I actually
no.
I'm also giving you a backhanded compliment as well because I'm impressed. I'm impressed by the structure of how you approach eating.
Well, thank you, and I mean, you should be. I work hard at that. Like after a while, you realize if you want to run fast, you need to eat well. Like there's no going around that. And if you don't think that matters, you're kidding yourself. And if you want to like unlock that last, I don't know, is it 10? Is it 20? Is it 30%? Like this stuff matters a lot. So I think first level of this is like worry about maybe not eating too much junk around your runs. And the second part is like, it's not only finding out how much to eat or eating the right amounts, eating the right things. You can go down such a rabbit hole with food and eating, and there is some give and take because there's so many theories, but I think it's a rabbit hole worth exploring for most people. No matter your skill level, you will see a difference.
I would say the number one easiest hack as someone who can easily gain weight and will also consume anything in front of him, that is me, out of sight, out of mind. If it's not in the pantry, if it's not in the cupboards, if it's not in the fridge, it's something you don't want to be eating anyway. Don't put the 6-pack of beer in the fridge and have it cold because then it's just calling your name out when you open the fridge. Don't have potato chips in the pantry. You know, like the junky, crappy stuff, just don't buy it and then therefore you won't have it. And challenge yourself to make your plate colorful when you eat your 3 meals in the day, and to snack responsibly, and to have a strategy in place, and to plan your meals, to plan what you're going to eat for the week, to plan when you're doing your grocery shop, what it is that you're going to snack on. So you have a plan in place. It's kind of like anything else, kind of like running, right? Like have a plan in place. If you don't have a plan, you're not going to achieve your goals. That would be, I think that's solid advice, right, guys?
Yeah.
Follow up with us, Chris, if you have any other further thoughts. If anybody else that's listening or watching the podcast, one of the fun features that has evolved in the last year and how podcasting is done, especially like on YouTube and on Spotify in particular, you can actually make a comment and it will earmark where the comment is, what you're commenting to. So if you have a thought, add it right now. Add it. If you're listening in Spotify, you can actually just go and comment.
So you don't forget.
Pin it in real time.
I'm putting one
what we're
currently.
Saying.
Chris, quote unquote, sounds a whole lot like Hugh Grant. I recognize that voice everywhere.
Oh, I didn't want to say it, but that's what I thought.
Yeah. Good try, Hugh.
Good.
All right. Although I don't think Hugh Grant lives in New Zealand.
No.
That's what he wants you to think.
Okay. Good point. If Hugh Grant emailed or sent a voice note to our podcast, that's like a little life accomplishment for me. You guys don't know. Notting Hill, all-time favorite movie of mine.
Oh,
I didn't-
really? Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Underrated rom-com.
Okay.
Four Weddings and a Funeral. I'm like a sucker for early Hugh Grant. 90s Hugh Grant. Okay. Moving along.
We learn something new every podcast.
Yeah, every single time we do this, I say something embarrassing about myself.
"2025 has been the best running year of my life. I've had 3 personal bests in the 5K, the 10K, and the half marathon. And I don't think the secret is that complicated. I just haven't been getting injured. I think a big reason for that is that I've started to take my post-run hour much more seriously. So instead of sitting on the couch, eating empty snacks, and watching reruns of The Office, I've been taking Momentous creatine. So it's become a bit of a habit. I take it after my run. I like their flavorless white creatine powder. It dissolves in a glass of water. Sometimes I put it in a recovery beverage, and I have it after the run. I've never been a huge supplements guy, but with the Momentous creatine, there's no fear. It's NSF certified. It's used by a bunch of pro athletes, also every NFL team, and even the US military. Now, my goals are probably a little bit different from those of your classic infantry officer. I take it to help my muscles recover so that I'm ready for the next day's run. And bonus, we're also learning that creatine may be fuel for the brain. And so I like to think that it helps me stay sharp for this podcast and ensures that I always have something to respond to Katelyn and her wild facts and Michael and his sarcastic jokes. Right now, Momentous is offering our listeners up to 35% off their first subscription order with promo code Marathon. So go to livemomentous.com and use promo code Marathon for up to 35% off your first subscription order. That's livemomentous.com, promo code Marathon. Back to the show.
Next one. Love the podcast. This is from Addison. Love the podcast. I've been using jump rope as cross training and felt so strong. 30 minutes gets me a decent sweat zone 2, and I burn about 250 calories.
Zone 2
think?
HR, zone 2 heart rate. Okay.
Heart rate.
Oh, zone 2 heart rate.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
thank you. Threw me off there. What do you think? I feel the impact of it on my running. I felt stronger, better cadence, and overall feels great. I don't really have much to add here other than I don't know. It sounds like a good idea. You guys, when's the last time you guys jumped rope? Skipping ever been a big part of your lives?
I had the Skip It. Do you guys remember, Michael, do you remember
Oh.
Skip It?
I remember Skip It.
Oh,
Skip It
yeah.
was like peak sad childhood. It was just-
Michael!
Was it like a digital, was it a jump
Digital.
rope with digital ends?
No.
This
was
an
something-
analog toy.
You put
This
it
is
on
like
one foot.
Video games, this is pre-Nintendo, pre-internet.
I know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
it
seen
was
it
like
in
this-
movies.
Yeah, you saw it in Stranger Things.
But you only had to lift one. There was less coordination. Like with the
You had to
jump
one
roping.
foot.
Yeah, 1 foot. I can't imagine jump roping. Just, it might have helped me out. The other day Monday I fell on the road. Yeah, while I was running. And so the jump rope may help with my coordination a little bit. So I figure it could probably improve your foot, your coordination there. Maybe your, I don't know, ground contact efficiency or something like that. And it's a plyometric exercise. They're always great for running. But yeah, other than that, no, I have not been using jump rope as any of my cross training just because I'm not very good at it. I'm sure I'd be stopping every 3 turns.
There's a weird crossover on our Instagram. We follow a couple thousand, mostly running accounts. And so whenever you doom scroll through our Marathon Handbook Instagram feed, it's all running. And there's a couple of prominent Instagrammers who are I think kind of like professional skippers. I think there's a professional skipping circuit. Anyway, I've picked this up in the past here. It's a weird rabbit hole to go down. I feel like skipping, like double Dutch, grade 4 might have been peak skipping for me, I think. Haven't skipped in probably 35 years, though. So,
Alex, have you? When was the last time you had a jump rope?
Oh my God, grade school. Also,
Yeah.
I don't do that stuff anymore. But I saw first I saw the question. I was like, "What the heck? That's so weird." And then I caught
Think about it.
myself. I was like, "This is not so bad." So,
Mhm.
what do you like? Why is skip rope? You're basically hopping, which is
Yes.
what running is.
Yes.
Especially if you're doing like the 1 foot thing, like 1 foot action, skip it on 1 foot, skip it on the other foot. It's honestly the same thing as doing plyometrics.
Yeah.
Every now and then in my training, I'm not doing it currently, but I'll include a few plyo drills where one of them, for example, is doing like the 1 foot cross jumps. So you do a little hop in front of you, back to the center, to the right, back to the center, and so on and so forth. You do it with both feet. It's kind of the same thing as skipping. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I wouldn't replace if I'm training for a running event, I wouldn't replace my runs with skipping. My university coach, Bernie Chisholm, had this thing where he said if you're about to do 30 minutes of activity and you're a runner, might as well just switch that for running, which I think was his way of trying to prevent us from playing in the university rec hockey league, which we still did in secret, and a couple of us got injured.
And not get injured. Exactly.
Yeah, one of us got concussed, but it's kind of that mentality. I think running goes first, but after that, you want to do things to supplement your running. I don't think it's the worst thing.
Maybe you could use it as like a warm-up before a strength training or something. Then you get a little plyometrics in, you warm up for your strength training, you're ready to go.
Yeah. Put on the hoodie and the big black sweatpants and pretend you're Rocky a little bit.
Well, yeah, there's a cool version of skipping, right? The like boxing training skipping thing.
Yeah, but as soon as you start hammering a punching bag, then you've gone too far. Then you know.
Okay, noted.
Okay.
So we'll follow up with Alex in a couple months and see how his skipping regimen has gone.
I'm actually good at it. I'm actually good at skipping, but okay.
There we go. All right, next one. Hi, Michael, Alex, and Katelyn. Love your show and your perspective on running. I'm reaching out because I'm facing a confidence battle heading into my goal marathon, which is the Marathon Project, which will have been run by the time this episode airs. It's on December 20th. So worry not, listener. We are going to follow up with you directly beforehand. I'm going to clip this segment and send it to her because we're recording this a week in advance because this episode is going to drop on either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So, but we will send it to you. So we're taking care of you. Don't worry. I'm a 48-year-old woman and I have been training somewhat seriously since 2012. My first marathon in 2015 at age 37 was a 3:21:55, and I've been chasing a PB ever since. So she ran 3:21:55 and has been running after PBs ever since then. But between DNFs, tough conditions, and bad luck, I keep ending up just short. So she's on this like over decade-long quest to try to better her debut marathon, and it just seems to be haunted by that 3:21:55. It's starting to feel like the marathon always breaks my heart. It's tough. Under the
I hear you.
Yeah, I hear.
I hear you.
Under the expert guidance of Coach Reed Coolset, who is a Canadian Olympic marathon runner and legend, and a good coach. Here's why I should believe this year is different. Okay, so let's go through what she's been doing here. Okay. 10 straight weeks of 90 to 110 kilometers per week, or 56 to 68 miles. So that's a check right there. Strong long runs of 26 to 34K. Check.
Nice.
1 to 2 workouts weekly. Also check. Strength work twice a week. Nicely done. Starting to feel like I should be doing this myself. Mobility work 3 to 4 times a week. Really important. Working with a registered dietitian named Rachel Hanna, another Canadian marathon running legend, and also knows what she's talking about when it comes to her field of expertise on fueling and hydration. So that's really smart. Her recent 2025 results, which are important here. She ran a 1:34 half untapered in the middle of October.
Nice.
So we can look at that number. That's a valuable number to study here.
It is.
20:35 5K, also a solid number, and a 42:49 10K as well. She ran, I think, a time trial here, or maybe a track race of a 3,000 meters in exactly 12 minutes, and she ran a 1,500 meter, assuming within that race in 5:39. So she says, logically, I know I'm fit and ready, but emotionally, the past almosts keep creeping in, and I'm afraid of believing in myself and then failing again. Can you talk about mindset, self-trust, performance anxiety, and how to embrace healthy belief without feeling like I'm tempting fate? Thanks so much. Truly appreciate your wisdom you can offer. Carolyn Coffin from Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Hello. I know that
Hi.
name.
Yeah, me too.
Carolyn Coffin. Yep. I'll be honest, Carolyn. I knew about this marathon project goal that you've set for yourself a while ago. Funny story. I was actually on Carolyn's podcast. So shout out to her podcast, Inspired Souls.
Yes.
Who are you?
She does a podcast and it's quite good.
Yep.
You should, everyone listening and watching, subscribe to Inspired Souls.
We chatted, we chatted twice actually, but I think the first time was back in May. And she told me about her hope of doing the marathon project. And it fit into our conversation because we were talking about public goals versus private goals.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm mentioning this because now I think that what I was going through in May, Carolyn may be going through now. So a bit of a back step for my year. In April, May, June, I had set this goal for myself of breaking 30 minutes for the 10K before I was to turn 30 in August. And after a few months of trying, I kept on failing. And I had a moment, a few weeks, of just thinking, oh boy, did I shoot myself in the foot? Because now this is no longer a fun challenge. This is a story. This is a story of Alex trying to break 30 and failing.
Right.
And Alex trying to break 30 and failing again. And is this a comedy or a tragedy? How is this going to end?
Or both. Yeah.
Or is it both? And so luckily I hit my goal after a few times of trying, but the way that I was able to hit my goal was by separating myself, my story, my ego from the performance at hand. So when I finally broke 30, it was in Vancouver. I told myself, there's no Alex, there's no YouTube channel, there's no Instagram account, there's no story to break 30. There's me, there's a race, there are other people, there are splits, and I have to just dive into that. I have to completely dissociate. I've never done mushrooms, but I hear that it's something like this.
So he did mushrooms and ran a 10K.
That's your answer, Carolyn.
Yeah, have fun.
No.
Don't do it.
No.
Do not do it. So,
No.
So Carolyn, I've kind of like been watching from the sidelines. I follow you online. I've seen that you've put in all this work. I think the best piece of advice that I have for you at this point is when you show up to, is it Chandler, or this time it's Phoenix, Arizona,
Chandler, Arizona. So we should give a little bit of context here. The Marathon Project was this one-off race that was created for December 2020, peak of the pandemic, for elite athletes in the US and Canada and some from the UK that were able to get over to try to qualify for the Tokyo Olympics because there were no marathons being run. And 5 years later, the organizing group, including Ben Rosario, a coach in the US, who put on the first Marathon Project, decided to restart the concept, but to open it up more and to open it up to competitive recreational runners as well. People chasing after big goals, Boston Qualifiers, sub 3-hour marathon, that sort of thing. So it's become a bigger event, and Carolyn signed up for it. Really, really cool idea. And I think it's probably going to be a really fun experience, a really unique experience in marathon running. So there's the context.
So there it is. And so a great type of race to run fast. And I think that what you want to focus on, Carolyn, is to just not put yourself in front of yourself. Don't put yourself in your own way, because you've done all the work. You've done everything. And the best thing you can do, I think, is forget about those previous chapters, the times that it didn't quite happen for you. It's that term, selective memory, that the best athletes are able to employ. Remember the times that it went well. Remember your training. Remember your key workouts. On paper, there's no reason you don't do this. And so go into it and be in the moment. Be present. Do your best. I'll end my advice with maybe an ill-advised clip from one of my favorite all-time movies, The 40-Year-Old Virgin. In it, Steve Carell is trying to, lose his virginity at the age of 40, and one of his friends tells him, you keep putting this concept on a pedestal. You're trying too hard. You're making it too important in your mind, and so you're jinxing yourself. And it's only once he stopped doing that, I'll let you watch the movie, but
don't spoil 40-year-old virgin. This is the weirdest piece of advice you've given, and you're a master at weird advice, but I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Don't put it on the pedestal is the takeaway.
Okay.
Alex is so right. You're so ready. I mean, on paper, everything is absolutely perfect. And your coach has probably told you a million times the trust your training, because that's what we say as coaches. And it's so true. I mean, look at your times. I mean, the half marathon time that you ran, that's throwing a 3:15 estimate out there. I mean, ready. You are ready. So what I try to think of in a race, I also do that. I try to take the pressure off, because I'm always putting pressure on myself at a start line. And whenever I take the pressure off, I run my best races. So if you can try to compartmentalize that and kind of put it aside for now and just run your race. So focus on, and I'm not saying, don't focus on your goal, but actually focus on what you can control in the race. So that's what I try to do. I think about, what can I control? I can control my effort, my pacing, schedule, the strategy that I've written out for myself. I can control my fueling to make sure that goes perfect to plan. I can control my hydration, and I can control somewhat my mindset. I can try to talk myself and have these positive or whatever phrases are going to work for you. I've said on a previous podcast that our own dear Michael got me through some very tough hours in the middle of the night at Run Rabbit Run, because of a mantra that he had given me, not even meaning to, unintentionally. And so think about things that can also kind of pull you out of those dark spaces, whether it's a mantra, whether it's music, which really helps me. There are specific pump up songs that just makes me feel really happy, and everything else in the world just shuts down when I'm listening to these songs. And so that also helps me out a lot. So I would say that, you've heard it a million times. On paper, it's amazing. Trust your training. Try to get that pressure off of yourself and just have a really great time running a race that you are super fit and ready to run.
Well said. And this got me thinking. I recently ran a marathon, so this is all kind of fresh to me as well. Having to go through this process. The marathon is what I like to refer to, it's like a miniature epic, it's your own, you're writing your own little tale. It's every race is worth doing. She gave us a nice, in a PS in the email, she highlighted her history here, which I can go through really quickly here. 2016, she ran a 3:35 in Boston. 2020, she DNF'd. Poor pacing. I believe it was a virtual Chicago, because I was right at the pandemic. And then she tried again and ran 3:39. Another virtual race. Virtual marathon, so tough. Like, what
That's
a
hard.
grind that must be, having to go. All these people going out in 2020, just like desperate to wrap their minds around a goal and have some sort of focus. Just going out and running their own marathon by themselves was
that's
just
hard.
like the toughest, weirdest thing. 2022. She was supposed to run the Manitoba Marathon. It got canceled mid-race due to heat.
What?
Yep.
Can you imagine running a marathon? You're halfway through and they're pulling you off
They're like,
the course?
Stop right here.
Yeah.
It's
Starting to see what she's seeing, when she's talking about like the weird fate thing. But 2022, 3:23:12 at CIM, perfectly paced. She ran 1:41:31 for the first half, 1:41:41 for the second half.
You're a machine.
Think you got to remember that race.
Mm-hmm.
Come back to that race. Think about that race. That was a big success. 2023, she had a DNF due to injury in the Toronto Waterfront Marathon in the fall. And then last year, 2024, she ran 3:24:11 in Chicago. First half split 1:40:30, feeling great. Felt likely a 3:21. Then a cruel bathroom break.
Oh, we've all been there.
So, yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my thinking, Carolyn. The marathon is process-based. Running is a process-based sport. Most things should be process-based. And by process-based, I mean you have to break it down into incremental steps, because otherwise it becomes very overwhelming. You know, you start thinking about how hard it is, about how long it is, about how overwhelming the experience is of running a marathon, about going to the start line, all the stuff that just kind of creates an incredible amount of anxiety and allows you to, that hijacks your thinking. So instead, you need to break it down into a process. One, as Katelyn was saying, you got to trust your training. You got to listen to what no doubt Reed Colissette's been telling you all along, which is the nailing workouts, the times say this, your performances have been like this, that half marathon you ran fatigued without tapering at all. It's pointing, and that was 2 months ago, and you've done all this training since. You're ready to go. What I would do is on the eve of the marathon, I would take some quiet time in the afternoon and I would write everything down. Just write it down on a piece of paper. Write down everything that you sent to us via email and every other detail that you can think of, all the successes you had, all the things that you did right. Write it all down so you can see it in front of you. And then also stick to your plan. You've done all of these long runs. Presumably you've been practicing your fueling, you know, waking up, 2 or 3 hours before the long run, all these things. You've prepared yourself. Remind yourself of that. So stick to that plan. Stick to the routine before the marathon. And another strategy that I always employ, and I have to, especially now that I'm probably no longer chasing a personal best in the marathon, is positive self-talk is really important in the race.
It is.
And it's so easy for negative thoughts to creep in. And you just have to be going into the race. You have to remind yourself, I have to stay positive. Here is my strategy for staying positive, be it a mantra, be it preloading some things you're going to think about in the race, things you're going to focus on. Maintaining positivity is really important in a marathon, because otherwise you get into like even like 20, 25K and your thoughts start drifting to negativity and you start trying to talk yourself out of what you're doing. And you have to set up a strategy where you're like able to identify that, push it away, think positively. In the race, you've got to break the race down into increments. Otherwise, it becomes too overwhelming. So just think about kilometer to kilometer, feeling good, getting your body working with you, getting comfortable, run on a little bit on RPE while keeping an eye on, maintaining a range of what pace you want to be running in. So you get nice and self-regulated by about 5K and everything feels good and you're cruising along for the first half. First 20 miles of a marathon should be rational, workmanlike, focused, calm, relaxed. Last 12K of the marathon, become emotional and committed to what you're doing and very focused. And then you'll run really well. My final thought on it is, as Katelyn said, have some sort of a mantra, something you can, if things are going to get tough, you can default back to just like repeating something in your mind to keep you moving forward. And finally, I've been going on forever. I'm sorry, guys. I'm passionate about this stuff. Finally, accept it's going to be hard and you're going to have to work for it, because it will be hard. Every running race has tough points. Every running race has negative and dark moments. It's part of running. It's part of life. When you accept that and you know it's coming at you, you'll be able to identify when it's starting to happen. You'll have a sense of control and think about the purpose of what you're doing, and you move past it. You will have success and stay positive.
I love that. Except it's going to be hard.
Mhm.
It's going to be hard, and that's
It's
okay.
going to be hard.
It's why we're doing it. It's
Mhm.
why we run.
It's challenging. We love it.
Do hard things. It's why we do
Mhm.
it. So it's part of what's enjoyable about it in a really twisted way. Okay, we're going to send this to Carolyn. Good luck to you.
Good luck.
Yeah, I think she's going to do well. I feel like she's done all the work. She's done all the work. It's all there. So, and if you want to follow up with us and let us know how it went, please do so, and we'll share it with the audience if you're comfortable with that. Okie dokie. Next one. What is the next one here, guys? Okay, yes. Okay, this is try to paraphrase this one a little bit here. Hey, Marathon Handbook crew. I'm a 34-year-old woman who prior to 30 had no running experience. I was a ballet dancer in my mid-20s. You guys ever do ballet?
What do you think?
No, but my mom was a
have you seen my
ballerina.
feet?
Have you
Your mom
seen?
was
Really?
Your mom was a ballerina? You're just going to
Well,
drop
when
that one in there?
No, when she was younger. I mean, she tried to get me into dancing when I was a kid. I think she took me to one class, and then she was like, "Oh, yeah, you're not graceful. I'm going to put you in soccer." but my mother was very graceful. She was a ballerina, yeah, when she was like in her teens and stuff.
It's ironic, given the fact that you are a good dancer as an adult. You are a good dancer, right? And you know how to dance. And you know how to dance.
I know how to dance, but maybe just not graceful stuff.
Yeah.
Popular stuff.
Popular stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Alex,
so-
look at my feet. that could be what I think that's what ballet dancers' feet, they're worn.
Actually, yeah, they're worn.
Toe dancers, they're going to be
Makes for
worn.
very strong toes.
Yeah,
ballet
sure.
dancers. Yeah.
Yeah. In the last 4 years, I've run 5 half marathons and several 10Ks. This year was going to be my year for my first marathon. I was on track to run right around 4 hours, but 2 weeks prior to the marathon, got a severe car wreck. Fortunately, nothing was broken. However, I sustained extreme whiplash and I was pretty banged up. Okay,
Oh my God,
right.
So sorry.
Yeah, it sucks.
She has worked with a physical therapist, has been seeing gradual improvements, and has begun some easy running mixed with walking and weight training. And she's noted that she has lost so much fitness. Okay, so what advice do you have for a slowpoke like me? First of all, you're not a slowpoke, who has sustained a non-running related injury and is eager and also apprehensive to get back at it. It feels challenging to get my mental game in check. I want to feel grateful for running, truly love it. But when I get into a pity party, it can feel like I'll never be where I was pre-car crash. From a practical standpoint, what tips do you have for modifying goal setting? I know most of your runners are running BQs and ultras, so feel free to modify your answers to suit the needs of your audience rather than imposters like me.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say
Thank
that.
you for everything you do. Best, Julia. Julia, first of all, you're not an imposter. If you are writing us and you are working through a car accident to get back to running again, you are the opposite of an imposter. You are, as they say, one of the real ones.
Because you're not going to let that car accident. Yeah, you're not going to let that car accident slow you down. So what I would say, Julia, is that you don't think that you've lost all of your fitness forever and you're never going to get back. You didn't lose it. It's just on hold right now. It's paused because of the accident and you need to heal first. So you're doing all of the right things, working with a physical therapist, asking them exactly what you can and cannot do. And I think that's really important to have that plan put into place. And like that short, easy walk, run to get going, that low intensity, zero pressure sessions is really the way to go to get back into it. So I think it's first, like, instead of stressing yourself out and thinking about training and getting fast and jumping right back up, it's just to rebuild not only the fitness or the, that you had before little by little, but just that trust about you getting back into running. And I know that sometimes when you have injuries, And I can't even imagine how you feel after a car wreck like that. But just thinking of experience having, tendonitis in a knee for a few months, and you know how you just you change the way you do things to compensate for those injuries. So, I wasn't bending down correctly. And then even after the injury was gone, I was still doing those things. So I think that it's a very big process to kind of get back into making sure that your body is healthy again, and that you get back and you get that trust back with your body and running and that relationship that it has. So I think that that's, kind of your first thing is to say, okay, I feel healthy and safe running again. And little by little, I'm going to safely get back to that. But please do not think that you need to give up on the goals that you had before. It's just going to take a little bit more time to get there. So it's just, a process, and think about, okay, I got held up a little bit, but I'm going to get back there. You're going to get back there. I mean, you're young. You've got all this time to do a ton of running. So just little by little, working with the PT and bringing everything back up, you'll see you're going to get to where you were before. It's just going to take a little time.
And I think you're closer to those positive feelings than you think, Julia.
Mm-hmm.
So a weird thing about being a runner and also just being human, I think, is that we expect that the payoff will only come after we've achieved the goal. But in fact, we feel the good feelings when striving for a goal. And so I bet you that you are going to start to feel good about your running before you get back to your old fitness. It's just by reading your question right now, it sounds like you're struggling because you're not seeing much progress. You're running a little bit, you're doing some run walking. Let's face it, you probably won't get fitter doing that, and you don't feel like you're progressing. This is, unfortunately, what you have to do in order to get to a place where you feel like you can be progressing. And I'm hoping and I'm guessing that you will get there soon. The good thing about non-running related injuries, even if they're as horrible as a car crash, is that typically running is not what makes them worse. So eventually you'll probably be able to put in some more running and not have to figure out this whole imbalance puzzle that sometimes these big tendonitis injuries tend to bring. So eventually you will get on that snowball again. And once you're on that snowball, then it's fun. And I'm talking weeks, maybe days. You might find yourself in 2 weeks not feeling anywhere as fit as you were at your very best, but seeing that, say, today you ran 30 minutes and it felt better than the 25 minutes that you ran yesterday. And then next week you can run 35 minutes. And even when you're in that zone, running becomes fun again. And I'm talking as someone who dealt with a major injury, and I had the same fear as you that, my goodness, it's going to take 9 months, maybe a year before running becomes fun again. And I was completely shocked. As soon as I was able to run without much pain and seeing progress, it was totally fun again.
That's right. You've, I think, Alex, on paper, maybe you're a world apart than Julia is here. Lifelong runner, somebody who ran in college, running at a very high level. But you actually have a lot in common, because you, of all of us, you've had a major surgery to your leg, which took you out of running for a long period of time, and you kind of had to start from scratch again. So kind of weirdly relatable here. This is, like we were talking about with the previous email, running is process oriented and it's incremental and it's problem solving, right? And it's building day upon day. And so try to put it into that perspective of okay, let's break it down into day to day here. What am I doing today to get closer to achieving my goal? And the goal is getting back to where you were before. And it sounds like you're doing all the right things. You're working with a physiotherapist. You're getting a little bit of running in again where it's safe and healthy to do so. You're doing some strength training. You will get back to that point again. And this is also, for better or for worse, good practice for your future life as a lifelong runner, because kind of having to work your way back is something you have to do a few times in the course of your life as a runner, right? Because you're going to have setbacks. Probably going to have an injury at some point in the future. Hopefully not, but maybe. You have to figure out your way to work back to those starting points again. And it's what's wonderful and challenging about running. is that it is something that's incremental and process-based, and you have to work pretty hard quite often. So let us know how it goes. Check in with us in a few months' time. And you're, as Alex said, you're closer than you probably realize right now. Yeah. It's like a steep curve that you're going up right now. All right. Our next one is a voice note. Let's give it a listen.
Hey, Michael, Katelyn, and Alex. Back on October 16th, you answered my question about BQing and breaking 3 hours in the fall of 2026 before I age up into the next bracket. You encouraged me to find another marathon in the spring, and Alex also challenged me to beat Harry Styles. Since then, I've run a self-supported marathon time trial of 1:27:40, and I'm making great progress. The earliest local marathon is the Med City Marathon on May 17th, which is a great race. It's only a couple of hours from me, and it's relatively affordable. I also have a half marathon option in mid-April, and I have a bib for the Gary Bjorklund half at Grandma's on June 20th, and then I'm entered for the lottery for Chicago. I'm trying to use the races available to me to come up with the best scenario for achieving my big goal of a BQ before the age of 45. Every race is subservient to that goal. I've contemplated so many different options. I've thought about using the April half as a marathon-paced workout. I've thought about skipping Med City completely and swapping my bib at Gary Bjorklund for a full marathon bib at Grandma's. And I guess my question is, presented with the options that I have locally, how should I proceed to give myself the best possible chance to break 3, beat Harry, and BQ in 2026? Thanks, guys.
I love it.
Most importantly, taking down the Styles time. It's that should be a goal for everyone. Beat Harry Styles. Poor Harry Styles. Which is 2:59 and change, right?
13. 2:59:13.
Yeah, his sub 3.
Yes. Okay, so you can do it all. You can do it all. So what do you guys think? What do you think Paul should do? Alex, why don't you take this on first?
Paul, good to hear from you again. Let me channel 2025 Harry and challenge you to step into the light, even if it's so bright sometimes. Now, June 20th, Grandma's. I haven't done Grandma's. I can't vouch for it or against it. A lot of people have done it and say that it's a nice, fast course. I think if you're a time-motivated runner, which by getting to know you in these last couple pod notes, it seems that you are, especially with Harry on the table, I think that's a good option. I remember, this is just from the top of my head, but just in the first question that you sent maybe a couple months ago, you were a little concerned about the recovery time between a potential spring marathon. There was that, and also just trying to pick the right one, but between a spring marathon and the fall. And June might be here the latest option for you, but by my estimation, it would still give you plenty of time to regroup and come back and do Chicago. Like a June-October double to me is very doable. It also gives you a lot of time to train, though we're kind of falling into the same issue that we talked about last time, is that, right now it's December and June is still quite far. Maybe a Earth Day half, then Grandma's marathon double could be the best option right now. I kind of like that 1-2 punch.
We should say Earth Day. The Earth Day half is April 18th. So, Katelyn, how would you program Paul's attack, his assault on sub 3? Should note that it's very noble of him to want to try to break into that Boston Qualifier before aging out of the 40 to 44 age category and tipping over to 45. The lazier of us would just be like, yeah, I'll just wait a year.
I'll just wait it out.
A bunch of minutes. Yeah, I'll just wait this one out, and then I'll get into Boston that way. That's a very noble approach. And also realizing that, 3:05 is his cutoff time at his age right now, which means that realistically he has to crack 3 hours to have any chance of getting into Boston. Yeah, because of the difference, right?
Which Paul, you are very, very close to, because you know me and my formulas. So I took the half marathon and it's spitting out an estimate of a 3:02 right now. So you're so close, but you have time. So we need to do a little bit of work before the next marathon, and we have time to do that work. So whether it's so whether it's May or whether it's June, we can have that really nice block. So I would take those two marathons, the Med City and the Grandma's, and I would say, okay, what are the conditions in each? You want the best possible conditions for your marathon. So think cool and flat and fast, right? So that's the first thing that I would think of. Now, if they're both very similar, Grandma's would be great because it's the later one, so we have even more time. However, if you do want to do Grandma's and you definitely want to do Chicago, to me, yeah, it's doable, but they are a little close, right? Because you're talking June 20th and October 4th. So you have, August, September, you have July, August, and September. Like it is doable, but they are closer. So the Med City and the or Chicago, or I saw that you have the Twin Cities there as well. So it all really depends on that. Now, if it just has to do with your sub 3, then I would say, okay, you could choose Grandma's, so you have a little bit more time, like Alex said. Do the Earth Day half, but I would run the Earth Day half as a half at the half marathon pace, because you still have enough time. I wouldn't, in that case, because it's still far out from the June 20th, I wouldn't run it as the marathon pace idea. I would say, let's train that speed for the first few months of the year. Let's get you super fast for that half marathon, and then continue working marathon pace and such for the marathon that you would have at the end of June. So that's kind of how I would work out your schedule for you. Yeah, June's a little far away, but you do have a little bit of work to do to shave off those couple of minutes, and you can definitely do it. You are so close, and you just need to put in the work for the first half of the season. So I think, you're well on your way. You're well on your way to breaking that 3-hour mark.
Okay, so I'm analyzing things here. There's a lot of different options in play.
Yeah,
here.
there are. I know. I hope what I said was clear enough. But yeah.
I think that I'll just say this overall. I think that regardless of which marathon you decide to target in the spring, you're going to give yourself a great opportunity to get under 3 hours if the training goes well and you're able to piece it all together and you get the work in.
Yeah.
Regardless if you do a marathon in May or June, the opportunity is there. You're not going to have to reach that far as long as you get all the work done. I would say you also then have to start looking at what the best opportunity for you is. And I would say, so you're looking at we're looking at between the Med City Marathon on May 17th and the Grandma's Marathon on June 20th. I am unfamiliar with the Med City Marathon. You say it is a high quality local race, which is good. Looks like, just based on the pictures on the race website, it looks like some of it is run on like a park, like multi-use path. I would look at previous year's results and see if there's anybody you're going to be running with in and around the 2:59 range, to make sure that you're going to have company. And if you don't, you're going to have to ask yourself, like, am I capable of soloing a sub 3-hour marathon? Because I would bet you Grandma's has got a lot more people trying to run sub 3.
Good point.
Bigger field. It's a race that is really well known in the competitive world of marathon running. So you're going to get a lot of people who are going to be trying to crack that barrier that you can work with in the race. And it also gives you another month's worth of training. If you feel like, you live in Minnesota. I imagine Minnesota, it's a little frosty in the wintertime. So maybe that January, February training is tougher. But, if you've been there a long time, you kind of know what you're going through. Like Alex and I, we live in Canada. We live in Toronto. We know what it takes we've got some questions coming up about this specifically. We know what is required to train in the wintertime for spring races. So Grandma's is probably your better bet, but I think you've got more than enough time, if everything goes well, to train for a May race. What I would not do is I would not do the May marathon and then have like grandmas in the background as the back of your mind is like the bailout.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do dangerous thing to do.
No redemption
Because-
race plan.
No, there's the worst thing you can possibly do when you're trying to go after a big goal in the marathon is like have like in the back of your mind, like as things are getting tough, being like, well, I could just tempo this one in and then run another marathon in a month's time.
Mhm.
Because that's the equivalent of DNFing effectively, right? So I would not do that. I'd pick one or the other. The other dangerous thing is he said that he's entered the Chicago Marathon lottery, correct? He does not have an entry into Chicago, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't know if he's gotten into Chicago or not. Chicago is an ideal opportunity for you to run fast. Fall marathons, I find, especially if you live in a cold weather climate. Fall marathons, you get to train through all that summer heat. Your hemoglobin levels go up. You get such a boost from training in the heat. It's the poor man's altitude training, as they say. You're always going to run faster in the fall than you are in the spring in the marathon. But if you don't know you're going to get into Chicago, I don't know if I would just leave it to chance. But also, if you're going to sign up for grandmas on June 20th, that's probably not going to give you enough time to do a full build for Chicago, which is October 11th. So I see your dilemma. I would say overall, if you feel you can get that training in through the winter time, you can pick either one and you're going to do great. And I think you're close already. So let's go. I think he's going to do it.
Let's do it.
I think he's
Oh,
going to
yeah,
do it.
definitely.
I would bet on Paul breaking. I would bet on Paul being faster than Harry Styles by the springtime.
Mm-hmm. He's going to do it.
Well,
although
current Harry Styles, we don't
Harry
know
Styles.
what our buddy Harry is cooking up on his side of the world.
I bet you he's running London, and I bet you he runs like 250.
Yeah, I agree.
You think so?
I think Paul needs to give himself a buffer.
That's right.
Give yourself a
That's
give
right.
yourself a 10-minute buffer.
Maybe 10 minutes.
10-minute buffer. That's kind of a
Poor
lot.
Paul.
There's
Poor
all-
Paul. What are we doing to Paul here?
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
Paul. No, Paul. Don't listen to those guys. Stick to your plan. Get the 259.
No.
You can do it.
There's the BQ and the BH, the Boston Qualifier, and the Beat Harry mark. Remember those?
The BH beat Harry. I like it. Oh God. Okay, so
Good luck, Paul.
yeah.
We can't wait to hear how you do.
Keep us in the loop, and good luck with the winter training. We're there for you. Both Alex and I are
In solidarity.
trudging. We got a couple of questions coming up soon where we talk about how you get through winter training. Okay, next one. Hi, huge fan of the podcast. I am a new runner, been running for about 4 months and loving it so far. 30 years old, played basketball through high school, and basically stopped doing any cardio since COVID. Yeah. At the end of the summer, I decided I would go all in with running. I'm now obsessed. I've read a few books on running, and I listened to 2 to 3 podcasts, including yours. Thank you. My question is, how fast should I ramp up running more than 3 times a week? So they're running 3 times a week right now. A part of me wants to run as much as possible so I can improve faster, but I'm worried if I run more than 3 times a week, I'll stall. I'll stall getting faster or I'll get hurt. I feel great at the moment running 3 times a week, 1 long run, 1 tempo/interval run, and 1 easy run. I also try to swim once a week, and I'm wondering, when do you think would be best to start running more often, maybe 4 to 5 times a week, or should I continue to milk the progress of only running 3 times a week? Thank you again for all the great content you put out, Dylan. So Dylan's running 3 times a week. Started 4 months ago.
It's time.
It's time.
It's
Is
time,
it time?
Dylan. Oh, it is time. 4 months, four consistent months of 3 times a week. I think it's time to add that 4th run in. What I would do, thinking on as a coach, is I'd add another easy day in. And then once you get another month of that with that easy day, and you get used to that, you could think about making it another speed day. You know, a few months later, you could add, I mean, everything is just really gradual with running. And I think you're really smart to have taken just 4 months and stuck with 3 days a week, because a lot of people would have ramped up faster. And I think what you've done is you've built yourself a wonderful, strong base. And so now your muscles, your ligaments, you're physiologically like adapted to running at this point. So I think that it's time that you could add another day in. But, as I said, just do it very, very gradually, and start out with one more easy day.
And you might be tempted to switch the swim for a run. I would say don't do that. Keep the swim.
Totally.
It kind of seems like you have a system going. All you do is add easy miles. I think the swim probably helps to balance your little imbalances. So I think that's probably good.
Don't get emotional on the easy days. Keep it chill. Keep the easy days easy. It's like you're starting to become like a total dyed-in-the-wool runner. You're starting to think like a runner. I love it. Add an easy day. Let's do it.
Yes,
you've been given the green light, Dylan. Go to 4. 4, keep the swim going. It's a great idea. A little cross training. We'll add a bit of resilience and overall strength and stave off some injury. And then do that for a few months, then add another day. I would even say just add another easy day and run 5 days a week. And you got your one workout, you got your one long run, you got a cross training day. So you're doing 6 days a week of exercise, and you're taking a day off. I mean, what's next? Next, we're going to get an email from Dylan being like, I want to do my first half marathon. How do I go about doing that? By all means, ask when you feel ready. Okay, next one. My name is Bobby. I'm 28 years old. I've been running for the past 3 years and finally decided to take the leap and sign up for my first marathon. I'll be running the Los Angeles Marathon in March 2026. Good pick. My question is, how do I know what is a reasonable pace to train for? My Strava and Garmin predictions are about 30 minutes apart.
Shocking.
Why don't they ever get along?
I know they just can't get along.
Prior to signing up for the marathon, I typically ran 25 to 30 miles per week with an easy pace of about 11 minutes a mile. I haven't run a hard 5K in well over a year, but did run a 7-minute mile in the spring. I have been having a hard time picking a goal race as well because I know LA has a lot of hills. Any help would be appreciated. Okay. What are our thoughts for Bobby with an I?
I can go if you guys want. Well,
Coach.
I would say, Coach, here I go. I was just plugging the mile in. I'm going to get to that in a second. Well, first of all, when you want to run your first marathon, it is really important to think about running by feel. But I know that can be a little overwhelming because you think, well, but how fast should I be running to have some sort of parameter so you can fuel correctly and hydrate correctly and have sort of an estimate. So, you want your RPE when you're running a marathon to feel. It's usually a 5, right? So it's a little bit of a strain, but it has to feel comfortable because you have to go for 26 miles. So just for fun, if you did a 7-minute mile all out. Now, remember, the longer the time trial or the longer the test that you do, the more accurate it's going to be. So a mile is very far from a marathon, but it can still give you some sort of parameter. So just throwing that in, the 7-minute mile in, it says, the marathon time pops up as 3:46. Okay. So you don't, I mean, that's a fast first marathon. That's a big sub-4 first marathon. So you don't want to pressure yourself thinking with that time, but I just kind of wanted to give you what an all out 1 mile comes up with in VDOT for your estimate. But you really, really don't want to pressure yourself with your first marathon with time. You really just want to go out there, finish the marathon strong and healthy, have fun, and want to go ahead and train for a second one. Once you get the first one done, I mean, you basically just want to run it at a pace that you can hold on to. So never get your breathing rate out of control, your heart rate off the charts, just something that is going to be controllable and sustainable for the entire 26 miles. Now, when you finish that first marathon, now you've got your benchmark. So you have the time and you can start working off that, right? And then reflect on how you felt and then start working to whittle that that time down. So I would say that's what the 7-minute mile says. But you really want to take that with a grain of salt because a mile is short. You might want to go ahead and do a 5-kilometer time trial or a 3-kilometer time trial, and that can also give you a better idea of rough paces. But like I said, don't nail yourself down and stress yourself out to a pace, but maybe do a 3K or a 5K test, right? A time trial, which means warm up for about 15 to 20 minutes beforehand, do some dynamic stretches, get ready, run a 3K or a 5K hard, right? As hard as you can for that amount of distance. But don't burn out. Try not to leave too much gas in the tank. It's a little hard to measure if you're not used to it. Take that time, put that time into one of these calculators, and then it will spit out an even more accurate idea for that marathon estimate than the mile will. So that's my advice to kind of get a ballpark figure. But remember, go out there and have a lot of fun. It's your first marathon. Just take it easy and enjoy.
Yeah, this is the most confused you will ever be. It's just going to get better from here.
Right. You're right,
It's
Alex.
funny. Yep. We tell people I don't know how to run this marathon. And then we're like, oh, just run on feel. And it's like, yeah, well,
it's so hard.
What if they've never done one before? What does that mean, run on feel? So
what feel? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. How should I feel?
That's a dangerous thing to say.
Yeah. Get through this one, Bobby, and then things will start to make a lot more sense.
Yeah, I'd say, goal 1 should be, goals 1, 2, and 3 perhaps for this one should just be finishing and learning. This is a recon mission for you, Bobby. This is you're trying to extract information from this experience so that you can wrap your head around future marathons. This is one of many, hopefully, right? So
yeah,
I would say if you're not down with the time trial itself, if that doesn't sound like fun,
it's not.
I have to admit, the time trials, that makes sense, but it's not fun.
No.
Alternatively, you could identify a 5K, a 10K, even a half marathon at some point. I wouldn't do one within, say, 3 weeks of the marathon, but I would say if you can find one between, nowish and February 1st, because the LA Marathon's the first weekend in March. I think it's March 5th or 6th or something like that. You can run any one of those distances. Obviously, the longer the distance, the more feedback you're going to get, the reality check you're going to get on what it is that it's going to feel like, and what pace you can hit. I noticed, I don't know if you live in the Southern California area, if you run in LA, but if you do, I see Surf City USA Marathon Half and 5K takes place on February 1st. That's in Huntington Beach. So you could run the 5K or the half marathon there if there's entries still available. If you want to piss away New Year's Day or New Year's Eve and get up early on New Year's Day, I believe there's 5, 10 and a half in Long Beach as well. So that's if you live in Southern California.
On the 1st? On January 1st? Oh, my goodness.
What a way to ring in the new year.
Wow. I'd rather
hold your hand to the flame.
I'd rather run on the 31st and then rest on the 1st.
Then celebrate. And then Katelyn can enjoy her, what do you like? You not peanut, you like kava. You like your kava.
That's right. My glasses of kava on New Year's Eve.
Kava.
That's right. Kava. Yes. So I would say jump into a race. Also, a race is good practice for that big marathon experience. It's like a little dress rehearsal for you. You can try wearing the clothes you think you might want to wear on race day. You can go through that whole process of going to the start line and going through the race jitters and all the prep stuff. What are you going to eat on race morning? It's like a good practice, right? I would also, you don't indicate this in the email one way or another, but make sure you're following a plan and have a plan. Do a training plan, and if you feel healthy and fit, add a couple of kilometers here and there, a couple miles a week here and there. Never hurts for the marathon. Tell us how it goes. Good luck.
Good luck.
First marathon is awesome. And you know what? It takes a lot of courage to wade into the unknown of running a marathon. It's have a healthy fear, have a healthy respect for the distance because it's a long way to go, but you can definitely do it. Okay, so next one, it's a voice note.
Shall
ready?
we?
Nice.
Shall we take a quick break? Alex drank a lot of water today.
Someone needs to pee. All right.
Let's take a quick break.
Let's
and
take
we'll
a
be
quick
right back.
And we'll be right back.
Katelyn
after
needs to
Alex pees. And we're back. Alex, how was the pee? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I know it's coming.
You can't ask me that.
Passed. Okay.
As he's
let's
drinking
get
more
to-
water. Alex, stop drinking water.
He's
Stop.
dehydrated.
Okay, let me
Good.
bring you back to the timestamp. Body is temple, and this is how it is.
Fine. Okay.
That's right. Exactly.
We schedule
he's
pee
a-
breaks, and we run fast. Look,
He is a
it's not one
sub-
without the other.
Elite athlete.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Working
I'm
on
so sorry.
becoming an elite athlete.
Please accept
Okay.
my humble apology.
Yeah. When will you guys call me just an elite athlete? How fast do I have to get?
Oh, you got to keep going. No, I'm just
Alex
kidding.
Sear, elite athlete. I
Is
don't
there a
know.
time, or am I just like stuck in your minds as lesser
Alex,
than?
you'll always be sub-elite to us.
Thanks. Thanks. Can always count on you to keep me humble.
On that note, let's play a voice note.
Yay.
Our next question. You guys ready?
Yes.
Yes.
You how much I enjoy your podcast. I don't miss an episode. My question is something that I haven't heard on the show before. I've recently had a shoulder injury, and it is preventing strength training with things like planks, push-ups, no upper body work, lat pull-downs, tricep dips, etc., etc. I can still do the lower body work with squats and lunges and all of that, but I'm wondering how I can keep the core strong and any other suggestions you have for someone that's can't put weight on one arm. Thanks so much.
Should
So
say that's from Sheila.
Sheila, you can't tell, but one of us has a current shoulder injury. Can you guess who? It's Michael.
So, full disclosure, and this is bad audio podcasting and hilarious for the video version of this. I'm only really comfortable when I've got my hand on the top of my head for some reason right now.
Oh, no.
I have damaged something severely in my neck shoulder area after we went to the running event in San Antonio. So it actually only feels good when I've got my arm over my
Oh, no. Michael, I thought from the first day I saw you with that one arm shoulder bag with all the equipment, I thought you've got to change that and get some sort of a backpack.
Yeah.
It can't be
I
comfortable.
also have a backpack. We have about
Yeah,
100. We have about
I know.
100 pounds of gear that we haul around with us when we go cover events because
A
of all the
rolly
podcasting
suitcase.
and video. Got one of those too. We just have too
Yeah.
much gear. We're gonna resolve
know.
that anyway.
Yeah, we have to.
Sheila,
Okay. Yes.
literally feeling your pain right now. I'm actually scheduled to go get a scan for my shoulder. Like after we're done recording this podcast, I'm gonna get an ultrasound. So Katelyn, tell me what I should do.
Okay.
Tell Sheila and I what we need to do so that I can stop not doing
core and upper
stuff.
body.
Yes, right. Yes.
Yeah. No, one of the athletes that I train has a weak shoulder as well. And so I'm always accommodating different exercises specific for that. So you can still work core and upper body. You just have to be careful, right? You want exercises that are going to be minimal to no shoulder stress at all. And of course, if any of these movements bother you in any way, just stop doing them. But you want to focus on the trunk stability without, weight bearing through the arm. So everything like supine on your back is really good. So things like dead bugs with weight. You can do any sort of bridges, marching bridges, isometric bridges, that's Palloff presses. And if you're unsure what these are, just on YouTube real quick, you can throw the exercises in and take a look at them. You can do Palloff presses, stuff with the cable machine, like anti-rotation holds and that sort of thing. Farmer's carries, anything that you're not going to be pressing and stressing the shoulders. So basically any core exercises like that you can be on your back. For upper body, some shoulder friendly options, again, only if they're not bothering you, would be a lot of pulling, because pulling is usually better tolerated than pushing depending on the injury. So think about maybe using light resistance, like resistance bands, instead of weights first to see if the movements bother you or not. So, some nice rows or like row holds. Isometric stuff is really great for when you have an injury because you're not in movement. You get into that row hold and you hold the resistance band in the active position for, 20 seconds and then release and then 20 seconds again. So that kind of, if you take away the movement, that could also be really helpful with those kinds of injuries. So I would say, a lot of rows and that sort of stuff could help a lot.
So Sheila and I can't just do nothing.
Right. You can't just do nothing. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And whatever content that we actually have in the archive on our site, we'll put links in the show notes. And the YouTube.
Yeah, we got a ton of stuff. I could actually, I'll go through that and I'll get some core work and some upper body stuff that's shoulder friendly, and we can put that in the show notes for sure.
Okay, here we go, Mr. Sear. You got your toque on, eh? We're going to talk about cold weather running here. We got 2 questions. First one. Hello, team. Love the podcast. I start every Thursday with it after my run. That's cool. I have a question about winter training. I live in Connecticut and I run outside all year. No treadmill for me. We can't interest you in a Wahoo kicker run, the best invention of 2025. Anyway, I also run early, normally before the sun is up, and I like to get it done before I go to school. I'm a teacher. I started running distance during COVID when I had a lot of spare time. I am turning 60 and I'm running Boston in April. So I've got a question. I have a question is around adjusting pacing during workouts in the cold. Is there a formula that takes into account temperatures when you are setting paces for the workouts? I do know everything seems to be a little slower when you start adding the layers of clothing. Yeah. I have no problem running in the cold. I just want to know if I'm getting the work in that I need to hit my goal time. Thanks. And once again, love all the content. Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew, I've been dealing with the same thing. Don't feel like you're missing out all that much because you don't have a treadmill, because the treadmill, while it can be super nice, also comes with its own separation from what might happen on race day. Running indoors
yes.
That's not what happens on race day, right? You need to deal with the elements and the unknown. So I've also felt in the last few weeks, because the winter came super early in Canada, like even earlier than usual. It's been a super cold month of December. And on most workout days, I feel like I'm choosing between the lesser of 2 evils. Do I go indoors and run on a very good treadmill, but a treadmill nonetheless? Or do I brave the winter and the cold and just accept that my threshold runs will be run at 5 to 10 seconds slower than usual pace? Formulas. You can probably find formulas. I do not use them.
No, yeah.
I don't use them. The issue with formulas is that it doesn't take into account the little intricacies of each day. Like the winter can be cold. It also can be windy. Mm-hmm. Some days you'll have a brisk day, but there's no wind and you're able to lock into pace. It has to do with body temperature as well, meaning how well are you nailing your wardrobe for every run? And that's a moving target, so that's hard to do. So on some winter days, you will nail it and you'll run just about as fast as you might in the summer. But on most winter days, you'll find yourself struggling more than usual. So the best formula that I've used has just been comparing myself to myself in the past in these same situations. And by the past, I mean like last week or 2 weeks ago. You kind of fall into a winter threshold pace and a winter, say, easy running pace. Though the slower you run and the more comfortable you are, the easier it is to hit relatively regular paces. The issues come when you're starting to run faster and faster, right? If you're brushing up against your threshold pace, you will find that the cold makes a big difference. But when you get into those workout zones, you will have to adjust. And I'll give you an example. My threshold pace is roughly 3 minutes a kilometer, a few seconds over 3 minutes a kilometer. And then now that I do workouts in the winter, I'm much more likely to see 5 to 10 seconds slower than that. And so I've just trained myself not to freak out if my watch is not giving me the sexy numbers that I want on a workout day. And that's how you settle in. And you're still working the same zones. You're still working hard. And so if you're training for, well, in your case, you're doing Boston, chances are the weather will be good in Boston. If you spend a winter of training at 5 to 10 seconds slower than your regular threshold pace, even 15 seconds slower if we're talking miles, you're still going to get those benefits. And by the time you arrive in Boston, the weather gets a bit warmer. I think you can surprise yourself. Just don't get discouraged. It's my main thing. And then the other thing is be mindful of which days you go out there. Some days are so bad, and I'm talking as a Canadian, but I mean, look, in Connecticut, things also can get pretty stormy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some days can be so bad that your workout will be shot. A bunch of snow, some ice on the ground, super like deep Arctic style temperatures. Don't work out on those days.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like you said you're a teacher, maybe that offers some flexibility. If you can tackle your weeks that way and think, okay, because this is what I do. They're calling for a mild day on Thursday and another one on Monday. Okay, those will be my 2 workout days. Or maybe it's Tuesday, Saturday, or maybe it's Wednesday, Friday. So, sometimes you might want to weigh the regularity of a normal workout week versus what makes the most sense weather-wise. And I think if you're able to choose the right days to work out, you can sail through a winter pretty well.
Yeah, first of all, you got to modify workout. You got to modify your schedule. You're going to always be watching the 7-day forecast to figure out, okay, like literally entering into January, February, March, I'm tracking on a weekly basis. Is there going to be a big snow dump? Is there going to be freezing rain? Is it going to be like minus whatever? Is there going to be this crazy wind chill effect at any point? There's always like a late January deep freeze in Toronto where we are. Be mindful of those sorts of weather patterns and strategize. You can move things around, right? Like I've shifted my workout from a Thursday forward to a Wednesday many times just to avoid really bad weather, or the big snow dump is going to happen on Saturday overnight. So move your workout, your long run to Saturday morning. Things like footing and slippage. I read a study many years ago that was like analyzing the micro slippage of every step when you're running in snow. And it just like adds some crazy percentage of workload to your body and also is really hard on your hip adductors. So these sorts of things you got to be very mindful of. And this is just all a part of training through winter. I commend you for running outdoors 12 months of the year. I'm an outdoors most of the time person as well. I'll escape to the treadmill when I really, like yourself, Alex, when there's like a really core, meaty, lactate threshold type workout that you want to hit a number to get a proper feedback, then I'll go indoors if the weather's really, really bad. Otherwise, I just sort of like RPE, kind of believe in the overall training and overall workload. Overall volume is really important in marathon training. So think of it that way. A related question. JC, 48, 4th marathon coming this spring. JC lives in Boston. I think we answered part A of JC's question with the previous one. Part B of this question is, what recommendations on gear and modifying workouts for the cold and nighttime conditions would you do for training through a Boston wintertime? Gear. Alex, let's go gear for a second here. I've been thinking a lot about this lately because it's been very cold.
Yeah, and also it's coincided with this trend of every running brand releasing their version of a gravel shoe, which is basically somewhere in the middle of it's a shoe that's kind of a hybrid between a road shoe and a trail shoe.
Yeah.
Really, this is one of the. I'm skeptical of the gravel shoes, to be honest. I wondered if there was much of a use case for them, but in fact, I think this is kind of the use case for them.
This is it.
This is it. Like you're living in a wintry place. There are slippery roads. You still want to run outside. I would look into these gravel shoes, but also they don't have to be labeled as specific gravel shoes. Some brands make basically the version of their daily trainers, but with a bit of grip, whether that's Continental or Vibram grip at the bottom. I'm thinking, for whatever reason, I'm thinking of the New Balance Hierro. I think at this point they're on V9, which is basically an 880, like their daily trainer, but with a bit of grip underneath. Many brands make like this type of shoe.
Yeah, I would explore the gravel market for sure, or a light trail shoe, or a winterized version. I know Nike always does this Nike Shield version of the shoes. Shoe I've been really liking lately, speaking of a gravel shoe, is the Mount to Coast H1. Very light lug, pretty springy, light, comfortable shoe. Feels like a road shoe apart from the fact that it's got these very light, I think like a 2 mil lug underneath. And you don't feel the lugs when you're running on the pavement as well. So there's a good option. Get a buff, the buff, the neck warmer, the light neck warmer, very versatile. You can pull it up over your head if you're really desperate. Another one would be invest in a decent quality winter running jacket. There's some really expensive options, but they're probably really good for cost per use because they'll last you a decade and you'll wear them every day in the winter. Arc'teryx makes a really good lightweight Gore-Tex one. It's very pricey, but it's kind of what I swear by. Layers, technical layers, tights that have that are 2-ply, that have an outer shield layer to them, an outer wind stopping layer to them. Very important. Oddly enough, I've always found socks are kind of less important. I just get crew height socks so that I don't have a little gap, so I don't feel my dainty ankles don't get cold. But apart from that, like I don't really think like my feet are never usually an issue unless it's really cold. My issue is like mitts and gloves. I go gloves, then I go mitts or even mitt covers over top. I don't even buy running oriented stuff anymore. I buy cross-country skiing stuff because
goodness
works better.
Yeah.
And then just like random winter hats. I don't bother with a technical winter hat. I'm wearing like a toque with a pom-pom on the top.
Pom-pom. Yeah, I can picture it.
If you got it from a Bud Light case, it's probably a good hat.
Perfect. Exactly. It's some synthetic material that'll keep your head pretty warm. And wash the hell out of it. When the pom-pom falls off, all the better. Yeah, that's the approach, I would say.
Can I shout out one brand of jackets, one brand of tights that I've just really loved over the last 2 years? On makes really warm and breathable running jackets. It's hard to find the mixture between the two. I think I just looked it up. I think it's called the Climate Jacket. So it's like kind of a bubble vest kind of thing, and it's super light, and it keeps the warmth in. And I actually have 2 of these jackets, and I've had them for a few years, and every time the weather goes under 5 degrees below freezing, I wear it. Tights. If Under Armour is still leading in one category in running, it's the category in which they started, and it is literally the Under Armour, like that spandex layer. They make really good, thick, but lightweight and movable tights. So same thing. When it's really, really cold, I have a couple of these Under Armour tights, and they're my go-to.
All right, a couple more here. First, an update from a previous writer, I guess you would call it, a previous emailer. This is from Gavin.
Gavin.
Okay. So Gavin
nice.
Says, "Hey y'all, figured I'd send an update. I ran the Richmond Marathon, which was on November 15th. So we got this shortly. Yeah, we got this almost a month ago, but that was the last time we did a mailbag was just before this in November." He says, "And today, drum roll, please." Got a drum roll sound effect here. "Finishing time, 2:57:53. First half 1:29:08. Second half 1:28:45.
Oh, well done.
That's
amazing.
a thing of beauty. That is a negative split. And I felt great during the race, went out based on RPE and stuck with it. Also a forgiving course, which helped. Katelyn was 100% right with the workouts, pushing me.
There we go.
Appreciate the help and advice. Gonna push for Boston on the next one.
Nice.
Thanks, Gavin. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Gavin.
That's a big BH. You
That's
beat
right.
Harry. Well done.
That's right. That's right. He smoked Harry Styles. Poor Harry.
You
Poor Harry
did.
Styles.
Good
Poor
job,
Harry Styles.
Gavin.
Okay.
Wow, that's a dream time.
Nicely run.
Well done.
Yeah, and
wow.
You know how that felt in the second half. He probably felt so amazing in that last 5K, running that thing down, feeling really good, feeling strong. That's amazing. Good for you. Okay, next one. I'm going to paraphrase this one. This is from Marco. I ran a new PR in Richmond Marathon yet again in Virginia. I've heard good things. 3:21:56 using your sub 3:30 plan. So our Marathon Handbook sub 3:30 plan. Free plans on our site. We'll put a link in the show notes for all of our free plans. I had already run a 3:29 PR in Philadelphia in 2023 using the same plan. So big thanks to you all. I have two questions. One, what do you think is better for a 3:10 to 3:15 target, the sub 3:30 or the sub 3 hour plan? Which led us to discover that we've got a gap in our
I
planning.
should write a new plan.
Yes, you've inspired us, Marco.
Yes.
So long story short, we're going to produce a new plan and you'll be able to use that, Marco. We'll call
it is
the
on
Marco
my to-do
plan.
list. Yeah, so
Marco sub
writing it down.
3:15 or 3:10 plan. We will have that on the site and we'll put it in, subscribe to the newsletter and we'll put it in the newsletter in the next couple of weeks.
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry, Katelyn.
No,
give me some homework here.
That's perfect. I love it. It's definitely lacking there. That's perfect.
And there's ways you can modify our plans as well to trim up or trim down some of the target numbers and overall mileage as well. So, okay. Also, he says, very inspiring about the 24-year-olds in your last mailbag episode. If you'll remember, in the last mailbag episode, we had a spate of 24-year-olds emailing us with really excellent questions. Nice to hear what I could have done if I'd started earlier on. But us oldies at 45 who picked up running at 40 with no previous competitive sport experience. What about us oldies? This is his second question. Is sub 3 still achievable? Or is age decline doomed to outweigh the benefits of training and experience? Thank you for all the great work and content. So at 45, can Marco run a sub 3 hour marathon? He is trying to target around a 3:15 to a 3:10. So he's got a few jumps to make.
Michael, reference your great interview that you had the other day that gave us all our 40, upper 40 hope.
I would say this, yeah. If you're relatively new to running and you're seeing these big jumps still, and you still have a lot that you can do to improve, like add more mileage, continue to train smarter and accrue more knowledge, maybe add in more strength training and flexibility training. Maybe there's some diet things that you can do. There's all kinds of things that you can continue to do to continue to improve. Then yeah, I would say definitely, Marco, that there's an opportunity to run under 3 hours. Listen to my interview with Nick Thompson, the CEO of The Atlantic, who wrote the book, The Running Ground, which is a great book. Great stocking stuffer. One of the better running books ever written, I think. I've just been reflecting on that book over the last couple of months since reading it. And it's a phenomenal running book. And Nick made it his personal sort of side quest a few years ago to run better than ever in his mid to late 40s, and he did so. And he ran under 2:30 in his, I believe, late 40s. So
he inspired me. Yes, there is hope for us all.
I'm not going to run under 2:30, I don't think, at this stage of my life. But Marco, I'm still getting after it, man. So you can too. And I'm 45 years old. I'm going to be 46 next June. So
Yeah,
let's
you
do
might
this.
not see him, Marco, but he's putting his right hand on his head right now and looks completely pain-free.
All is
Hey.
well. It's a non-running related injury.
He
It's a
doesn't need
running
his shoulder.
I had a
Right.
running industry related injury. I can actually run. I can run no problem. It's a little bit of wincing pain to start things off, but then
Oof.
it goes away. It's sleeping that's the problem when you've got a shoulder injury. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I bet.
Last, let's do two more, and then we're gonna call it, because we could do a 5-hour podcast with the amount of
We
questions
really
we've got
could.
right now.
Yeah.
Gonna skip ahead here. This one, it's a Katelyn question.
Oh boy. Okay.
Hi, I have a question probably for Katelyn to answer best. How do you train consistently and follow a plan as a female with a monthly cycle that greatly impacts energy levels, strength ability, nutrient efficiency, motivation, etc.? It seems that I have a week or two each month where I'm feeling slower and weaker and more in need of rest. Can I adjust my training plan based on the time of month rather than looking at each week with full potential? This is a question from Melanie. Katelyn, take it away.
Okay. Melanie, I did take a look at this question and I went back into the courses that I have taken, the coaching certifications, this one particularly with USCA. And I went back and went over the information because about 75% of female athletes report these hormonal fluctuations, right, during their menstrual cycles, and it negatively affects their training and their performance capacity. So this is a big deal. Unfortunately, and as it mentions there is so much more research that needs to be done on this. There are very few studies available right now, but also the effects of the menstrual cycle is still highly individual, right? So it's going to, we all have different experiences. And so I'm just going to give you kind of like what the studies that USCA used in the training, in the coaching certification. So I went over this again, learned a lot. So the follicular phase, which is the day 1 to 14 of the cycle, right? So this is like from the first day of bleeding to day 14. So this is the low hormone phase, as they would call it. And so this is actually due to higher pain tolerance and an experience of higher perceived energy levels especially during the beginning of this phase, is when the female body is supposedly primed for high intensity. So actually during the first 2 weeks is when, for most female athletes, it should be the time where the intense workouts may feel a bit easier than in the second half. Okay. So during this time, and again, highly individualized, but this is what the general studies say. So, this is where you would do your VO2 max stuff. If you're looking at the gym, even like your heavier strength training would be good, intervals, or if you're doing doubles, that sort of thing, because this is a time where your body may feel like it can take on, where you can actually even see improved strength gains during this time, and you can handle a lot of more higher intensity. So I wonder if that goes along with how you're feeling. So if you want to organize your training around the cycle, usually that day 1 through 14, you should feel like that's where the higher intensity stuff should fit in. Okay. So then in day 15 to 28, that's where the body may not feel as primed for high intensity. Okay. So you may, if you unfortunately suffer from PMS symptoms, this is where you will feel it. And so this is where it might interfere with training. It might interfere with performance because you're not feeling up to it. Body mass, it says that body mass might be higher due to fluid retention, which I mentioned in like minute 5 of the podcast, right? That we have that issue sometimes during the menstrual cycle. So we may feel that, and it might be uncomfortable. So that could also bug us with training and performance. And so during this phase, which they call the luteal phase, or the high hormone phase, training might feel harder than usual. And so it might be a good time to focus more on effort-based training sessions rather than, focusing strictly on pace, because this is a time where you might need to kind of take a step back and just work on effort, because the body might be having a tougher time. So these studies were based on the leading experts right now in the field. I know that Dr. Stacy Sims was consulted for this information as well, and so that's kind of like the general information that I have. So if that works along with how you're feeling, then you could go ahead and just rearrange your workouts for those times where you're feeling better. And if it's in that first half of the cycle, then there you go. And the second half of the cycle, think a little bit more effort based, so you don't stress yourself out about it, because you may feel less primed for intense stuff from day 14 to 28. A lot. Sorry.
That was a lot.
That was a lot.
Michael, do you have a rebuttal?
Obviously, Alex and I have nothing to add to this one.
And there's so much more research needed on this front. I mean, we are just left in the dark a lot of the time. So it would be great if we could get even more information on this stuff.
Absolutely. All right, penultimate question here. Guys, I think this is this might be a me question. Okay, let me read this out here. Hello, Marathon Handbook team. I discovered your podcast over the summer and while I was training for the Hartford Marathon. You guys ever been to Hartford before? Hartford,
Nope.
Connecticut?
But I had an uncle who lived his whole life and worked there as a trucker.
Interesting.
Oh, that's my one Hartford tie.
Like a Raymond Carver short story protagonist.
Sure.
I've been to Hartford. It's been a long time. Okay. And have been binge listening to the entire back catalog. Strike a chord of minor fear in your hearts like it did with me when I read that, hearing that someone went back and listened to our entire back catalog from the beginning.
Whoa.
Can you
that would be
imagine what those
really
early
interesting.
episodes sounded like?
I was just going to say that. Like, I would love to know the difference between how we sounded over a year and a half ago and how we sound now. I'm going to do that one day. It's just cringy, probably.
You can report back to me. I'll let you do that one, Katelyn. Cringe indeed. Okay, so we appreciate Chris here from Cambridge, Mass, crushing our back catalog. Despite being an injury-prone runner on the wrong side of 30, I wish I were on the wrong side of 30.
Me
right?
too.
I guess I am on the wrong side of 30.
I love it.
You're pretty far down the road from 30.
Yeah, indeed. He says, I've never run more than 50 miles a week. He hit his first BQ standard with a time of 2:47. That, my friends, is well under the BQ. Thank you all for your training tips and nearly endless entertainment. We try. Despite Michael's worrying from the most recent episode, I have a question that he is uniquely suited to answer.
Okay.
God, I'm curious.
I became a dad a few weeks ago. Congratulations, Chris.
Congrats.
And my life has been turned upside down in the best possible way. Can you describe how becoming a father affected your training and or your broader pursuit of running related goals? None of my friends with children are runners, so any insight into what to expect over the next few years would be greatly appreciated. Keep up the amazing work, everyone. Best wishes. Chris in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Okay.
Great question for you, Michael.
Alex, are you listening? I don't know. I just have this feeling like maybe this might apply to you in the next few years too. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what your life plans are, but I know you're getting married.
I hope that applies.
Yeah.
I hope that applies to me. And funny enough, I have a good amount of friends who are in that exact scenario right now. They're very keen runners. Their lives have changed in the last 2 years, 1 year. It's all across the spectrum. Some are expecting. I have a good friend who's expecting in May, and so he's trying to smash a marathon in March. I have a friend who's
He's a pregnant man? That's incredible, Alex. This must be
Hey, it's 2025. You never know. Then
Yes.
yeah, sure. Let's go down that rabbit hole. I have a friend who is learning how to stroller run, and they're shopping
Okay.
for the Thule.
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 They bought a Thule.
Yes.
Yeah. So
The Thule.
no, Chris, you're not alone. That's I feel like I have many of these people in my life. But Michael, you're by far my oldest, call you close friend, and
By far.
By far, I like that. Okay.
I used to call, so to Alexis, my fiance, before she met Michael, I used to refer to Michael as my 40-year-old friend. That was 5 years ago. And
I'm going to graduate to your 50-year-old friend soon enough.
very soon. So,
we're on the way.
but I think that makes you very qualified for this, because not only did you go through it, but now you're kind of like, you're seasoned. Your kid can take care of himself as you go into your stuff.
My kid is running now. So my kid, I'm not sure if I may have mentioned this on a previous podcast, but my kid, when I was in peak week in the fall for training for Philadelphia, I was doubling, and my second run of the day, I was short. I had to pick him up at the end of the day from childcare, and I was running, and I ran to the childcare to pick him up, and I was short a few kilometers on my second run. He was like, "Dad, how many kilometers do you have left?" And I said, "I've got like 3 or 4K that I'm missing here." And he's like, "Let's go for a run." And then he ran with me.
So cute.
Yeah. And then we got the 3 or 4 through, and he's like, "Let's keep going." And I was like, this is getting a little weird. I was like, I don't really want to keep going. I guess I have to. Yeah. So, okay. You'll get to that stage eventually, which is kind of neat if your kid's into running. So as a guy, you're basically like a helper for the first few months. Like you're basically just this like attendant that should always be on call. Like you're going to be doing weird errands to the pharmacy at 2:00 in the morning, or to the 24-hour grocery store. You're going to be up in the middle of the night a bunch. It's just sort of part of the haze of the first month or 2 months of having an infant. So that's going to throw things off. Your sleep's going to be out of whack. You will probably be able to like weirdly run quite regularly and quite a lot in the first year. But then when your child starts moving, you become a much more integral part of the machine, of the family unit. Once your child starts skittering around. Yeah, invest in a running stroller. Get them in there early so they're comfortable with it, so they're keen to do it. Winter months in Cambridge, Massachusetts, might be perceived as like mild child abuse to have your kid in a running stroller in January, but they've got those there's sleeping bags you can put them in and that sort of thing. But yeah, you just incorporate them into your running life. You might find yourself running earlier in the mornings, as I've started to do in the last number of years. It will affect your running to a certain degree. I don't know if your partner runs or not. In my case, my wife runs as well. So then we started having to kind of like juggle that when she was trying to get back into running again postpartum. It's really probably when your kid goes to, the truth is your kid doesn't, before your kid goes to school, by the time your kid goes to school, you'll get your running back. So, your kid will be 5 and you'll be like, hey, that marathon thing, maybe I can. No, but you'll be able to carve out the time. It's about prioritizing it. If you really care about running and it's your number one thing, obviously you got to pay the mortgage or the rent. You got to put food on the table. You got to be a good, responsible partner and parent. But then if running is like your number one personal priority, you'll find the time, you'll get it done. I have plenty of running friends who've gone through it and haven't really missed a beat. Maybe like the first year things were a little hairy and that's okay. But then after that, they figured out a routine. You're just going to have to like compromise a bit and, and also execute. There's no more procrastinating. I'm a horrible procrastinator. And it's like, when there is a window, that's the window, and that window will close and then it's gone. So it's like, you have to make the choice, which is a good thing. So just
go, always be in your running clothes.
Always be in your running clothes, and like run to pick your kid up. Like you find yourself doing weird stuff, like running to the childcare to pick your kid up, like leaving an hour beforehand and doing this weird route that ends you picking your child up at the end of the day if you have your kid in childcare. That sort of thing. the running stroller is a wonderful invention. Get the one that actually turns. There's two Tules. There's the one that's like the speed version that's just like it's straight. It doesn't turn. You have to kind of lift it to turn it. And then there's one with a wheel that turns. The straight one is more high performance. It's the one we bought, but it's actually kind of a pain in the ass. And the one that actually has a moving wheel, it's better for easy runs. It's better for running through Cambridge for sure. Yeah, there we go. Running with child. Super fun. Final one, really quickly. I just feel like we should give this person an answer. Hi, Michael, Alex, and Katelyn. Big fan of the pod. Thanks for all the amazing content. I am 26 and I'm based in Toronto. Yay, Alex. I'm right
Yay,
here,
Alex.
Phoebe. I'm right here.
Yay,
I
Michael.
live in Toronto as well. Yay. It's because I'm old. It's ageism.
Yay, Alex. Wow. Hi, Phoebe.
Our writer.
You're great.
Phoebe in Toronto. She says hi to Alex. I'm nothing. Over here in the east end of Toronto, far away, hanging off the edge of the city. Okay, she says, I've been running for a few years and got more serious this year, finishing my first full marathon at the TCS Toronto Waterfront Marathon, which we were
there
in attendance and covering it, and that was fun. She ran 3:30. Nice time. I am aiming to BQ in 2027. So I'm looking for a spring race before September. I'm debating between the smaller, more local Toronto marathon in May. Okay, fun fact, for whatever reason, Toronto has 2 marathons, not one.
Mhm.
It's got one in the spring and one in the fall. Or the Jersey City Marathon in April of 2026, which I've heard good things about. Any thoughts on which is more PB friendly or other low travel options within North America in the spring? Also, I'm a lightweight runner. She's 160 centimeters and 41 kilograms, and wanted to know your thoughts on shoes. Thinking about the Super Blast 2 for a daily trainer and the Adidas Evo SL for speed workouts. Curious what you'd recommend. Thanks again. Love the show and keep up the good work. Cheers, Phoebe. I'll just say right off the top, we take the Toronto question really quick, Alex. I hear great things about the Jersey City Marathon in the springtime. I think you should do that one, Phoebe.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Agreed. The Toronto Spring Marathon would be most local for you, but I don't think it would be the best experience. From what I recall, there's some parts of the race that they just don't close off to random pedestrians. Like they use, I mean, we can speak Toronto here to you, Phoebe. They use the Martin Goodman Trail on the Lakeshore, and other runners who are not in the race can also use that trail on that same day. One of my first years when I was here, I went out for a run and encountered the leaders of the marathon who were coming the other way. These was 3 or 4 guys just booking it, and I have to dodge them because they never closed off the course for me.
Because you're like, oh, there's a marathon coming on. It's like,
Yeah, I was like, well, I got to
running
turn
right at
around
me.
because the density of this pack is going to increase very soon, so you got to move. And then I was being chased by the marathon. It was crazy. Thank God I was close to home. There have also been reports of like cars finding themselves on course, like just a lot of weird stuff. I don't know. I would suggest another race. Jersey City, I hear, is good. If you want a more national option, not sure if it's necessarily more local. I guess you'd have to calculate the distance. But I suppose, yeah, it is more local. Ottawa and Montreal both have high-quality marathons in the first half of the year. Ottawa usually happens at the end of May, and Montreal usually happens at the end of April, and they're both terrific events. I would suggest that you look into one of those. And
yeah, I have a question. This is, if you're, deep in the podcast with us, audience, if you have a recommendation for a speedy, like Boston Qualifier style, high quality, decently organized spring marathon that people can get into as well. Like, yeah, Boston's great, but you got to qualify and you've got to submit your qualification time, well in advance. And that's already a done deal by the time you're thinking about running a spring marathon in, say, December of a few months beforehand. I'm curious myself, what are your spring marathon recommendations? And especially in North America, especially in the Northeast US, and Canada, because there seem to be few really good options in April and May to run a really high quality race for whatever reason. I'd love to hear what our audience thoughts are on that one. You can put it in the comments in YouTube and also on Spotify as well. Yeah, I think I would also recommend overall, if you're contemplating a marathon, do a little due diligence. Look at the course, and I would check to see if the course is certified by your national governing body of the sport. So that's in the US, that would be USATF. If it's a certified course. In Canada, it would be an Athletics Canada certified course. That means that race is meeting a certain minimum safety standard. It's closing the course off to cars and pedestrians. There's a certain level of organization. They're going to have support on course in terms of like nutrition and water and things like that. Just a well-organized race that's taking itself seriously. If it is not certified, don't run it. Just don't. And
because safety has to be first. And I have also experienced here in Costa Rica, there are a couple marathons and the roads are not closed off. And I just, I go as a spectator and it is so dangerous, right? Because it's just like cars trying to cross the road. And so, I absolutely agree with that. Just make sure that it's a sanctioned course with very strict policies.
Except Katelyn's version is like, so I was on the course and I encountered a panther and I had to turn around and
that has happened on the trails. It was a jaguar. Yes.
it was Alex, it was just a jaguar.
It was a jaguar.
That's fine. No matter what we have to say about that spring marathon in Toronto, Phoebe, I guarantee you will not encounter a jaguar. Maybe a herd of angry Canada geese, but that's about as bad as it gets.
And they are perhaps more vicious.
They're feisty, and they
are
poop.
feisty.
Oh my goodness, do they poop everywhere?
They poop a lot.
Second half of the question as well, right?
For our shoe guy.
For the shoes. I'll be quick with this because I already think that you're on the right track, Phoebe. The Super Blast 2 and the Evo SL are two fantastic shoes. The Super Blast 2 is kind of a do-everything shoe, so it seems like you're going to use it as a daily trainer. That's great. You could also use it as a faster runner, but I like the idea of alternating shoes. It's always better if you can afford it to avoid injury and just keep things interesting. Evo SL is great for workouts. I would suggest, if you still have a few $100 to spend after those the two pairs of shoes and you want something a little bit faster for race day, because you didn't mention race day in your question, and you like Adidas and you like Asics, the Adios Pro 4 is the Adidas super shoe. It's terrific. It's very durable. It's not the one use only shoe that you've probably heard of. That's the Evo. The Pro 4 will last you a long time, probably 300, 400, 500 miles. And the Asics version of the super shoe, the Metaspeed Sky Tokyo and Metaspeed Edge Tokyo, almost carbon copies of each other. See what I did there? But a little bit different. Both are very good. I'd suggest you try them all if you find yourself at a running store. Those are all options that I've raced in all of these shoes. Really enjoy them. And if you're already on Team Asics and Adidas, you'll probably like them too. And they're good for a couple extra minutes.
I co-sign the Asics recommendation in particular. Ran in the Metaspeed Sky for my fall marathon and felt pretty good under my feet. Good race and good run. Good run. Good run, Michael.
Good run.
I just ran my 5K PR in the Edge.
Hey, there you go.
Exactly. So there we go. Asics all around.
Michael is patting himself on the back. I mean, if he could.
Oh, patting myself on the head.
On the head.
Poor guy.
Okay, we're gonna do one last one, and then we're done.
Oh, a bonus question.
This is a shoe related one as well, and this is also our last voice note of the day. So I figured get this one out there. And if we've not answered your question, you've sent in a question. I apologize. We will get to them. We are just working through them. There are many. We appreciate it. And if you have a question, by all means, send it to us at podcast@marathonhandbook.com. Okay, you guys ready for the last one?
Ready.
Hey guys, loving the podcast. Chris here from New Zealand. I had a shoe question. So currently I've got the Adidas Evo SL and a pair of Nike Vomero 18s. Looking to do the Fitzinger 18/55 training plan for a marathon next year in Rotorua, which is New Zealand's oldest marathon. Just wondering if you could add one more shoe in. 3 options. Would you add a race day shoe like a Vaporfly 4, a super trainer that you could also run the marathon, and potentially like a Super Blast 2, or even another pair of Adidas Evo SLs, because I do really love those. Keen to hear your feedback. Loving the work. Keep it up, guys. Thank you.
Oh, I should say he sent in a follow-up afterwards saying that he is about a 3:15 marathoner, just to provide a little bit of context.
Okay. So Chris from New Zealand wants to add a pair of shoes to his
I love it.
quiver.
It's like, I just want N+1 is the math equation.
Okay. So, and he's got a pair of Vomero 18s. That's a very good daily trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He's got the Evo SLs.
Good little workout shoe.
Good little workout shoe. I think you know where this is going.
Mm-hmm. He's going for a super shoe.
Yeah.
It's going race.
1, 2, 3. You want to have your racing shoe. And if you're a 3:15 marathoner, time does matter to you. You're knocking on the door of that BH. You need another about 15 minutes.
BH.
Let's get the BH. And
Beat Styles. Beat Harry.
at this point, so kind of to piggyback on my answer to Phoebe, I tend to be brand agnostic. I was before getting into this shoe reviewing business, which kind of forces you to be brand agnostic, but that's always kind of how I always had my slight favorites. I've always been an Asics guy for racing shoes. I was lukewarm on Nike. Adidas usually fit well for me. Either way, I think you should look at your pattern of which shoes you like for easy running and workout shoes, and then see if you could simulate that for race day. Sometimes it's totally different. So, for example, I'd never grown up wearing many Puma shoes. My favorite racing shoe right now is the Faststar Nitro Elite 3. These things happen, but here's a good place to start. You're comfortable with Nike, Chris, and you're comfortable with Adidas. I would look at their super shoes. I am not so much a fan of the Alphafly 3, but many people are. It's still, I think, the most popular racing shoe out there.
A very good shoe.
It's a very good shoe. I'm more of a fan of the Adidas suite of super shoes. The Pro 4 is likely the safest, easiest one to get. The Evo line, which are a lot less durable than the Adidas Pro 4, are slightly faster, but are also way more expensive. They're more of a gamble. The Pro 4s from Adidas are well liked by most people who try them. To me, they're a better shoe than the Alphafly, though not everyone agrees with that. I would encourage you to get yourself a super shoe. And in doing that, go to a running store, try the Pro 4, try the Alphafly 3, try other super shoes that are there. You know, you might realize that you love the Hoka Rocket X3, or you might realize you love the A6 suite of shoes. Who knows? But I'd start with those two, weigh them against each other, see what you prefer, and then get that pair of shoes. Same deal. You will be a little bit faster. Save them mostly for race day. What I do with super shoes, I break them out on race days and on very key workouts. I'm talking like the one big workout that you do 2 to 3 weeks before the race day. And otherwise, keep them in the closet because they're not the most durable shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you do that, they'll be good for quite a few years. So to me, that's what you need to add.
I agree. It's super shoe time. If you don't own a super shoe already, oh my goodness.
It is
just
time.
Treat yourself. I would say, you mentioned the Vaporfly 4. I would say no to that one. I think that's more of a super trainer than it is a super shoe, quite frankly. And
Agreed.
I'd say Alphafly 3 is a strong shoe. It is a very specific shoe. It's kind of noisy. Nike actually acknowledged this when we went to the Nike I guess big preview event in San Antonio at the running event a couple weeks ago. Nike showed us a whole bunch of neat things that we're not allowed to talk about, but one thing they did acknowledge was like the Alphafly 3. We acknowledge a lot of people find it kind of a noisy shoe.
They're
So it's
loud.
like it is loud. It's kind of clunky. It's kind of big, but it's powerful. So maybe try that one on in a running shop if you can get your hands on it. he's in New Zealand. I know getting your hands on running shoes in New Zealand is a bit of a tricky thing with import and whatnot. Got a friend, a running pal, who lives in Auckland and complains about how he can't get his hands on certain shoes. So Alpha Fly 3, I don't think Nike's going to be updating the Alpha Fly anytime soon. I think we can say that without revealing too much. So I think that's a safe shoe to look at. We mentioned the ASICS Metaspeed series, Metaspeed Sky and Edge Tokyo. Those are two great options if you like the ASICS lineup. I think Adios 4 is a good suggestion as well, Alex. If you don't want to go super shoe, I go with the Super Blast. ASICS Super Blast is a good trainer kind of quasi racer because it's got a big chunk of supercritical foam and it's fun to run in. Okay. I think that's it. We've been talking forever.
4 hours, 20 minutes.
4
Well, we've edited this down. This podcast won't be that long, but we've got many questions left we weren't able to get to, but we will get to them in a future mailbag. We'll have to do one relatively soon, and we'll take on a couple of questions at the start of every episode in the new year as well. Before we go, shout out to listener Scott, who sent us an email the last couple of weeks with a screenshot. And it just said, it was a screenshot from YouTube Music. It was like kind of like one of these year-end wrap things, like Spotify to Spotify Wrapped. And I think a couple of the other platforms do like a rewind and give you a snapshot of like what it is you listen to through the year, so you can discover your depraved listening habits. I know was shocked by how much I listened to certain podcasts over the course of a year, and it's kind of appalling. Scott sent us a screenshot. We were his top podcast in 2025. Hope he doesn't mind us sharing this with us. He sent it to us. So he listened to a total of 8,403 minutes of our podcasts. If you do the math on that, that's a whole lot. I think it's like 5 or 6 days worth of us talking.
Wow, that is
That's
too
probably every
much.
episode. Yeah.
And add another 10 minutes of listening to me talk, because Scott is a real person who I've met in Philadelphia at the Reading Market Terminal. Cool. He told me he listened to the podcast. I didn't realize that amount. So
thank you, Scott.
Good to see you online after meeting you in person, Scott.
By all means, if we cracked your year in review, you're wrapped on Spotify or YouTube Music or Apple Podcasts or whatever, wherever you listen to us or watch us, share it with us. We'd like to know. We've seen a few in the Instagram feed.
Yeah, we have. It's been fun.
Cool, which
yeah,
is
it's very
nice.
cool.
It makes us feel good. And we appreciate you listening. Okay, so happy holidays, everyone. We will talk after the Christmas break. We will stick to a relatively regularly scheduled bit of programming. This episode might drop on Christmas Eve instead of Christmas Day, just to give you some time to listen to it instead of not listening to us and eating turkey and, God forbid, spending time with your family. So subscribe to our newsletter, which you'll get updates on when this podcast comes out. It goes out every single morning at 5:05 Eastern time. Please feel free to share this podcast with a running friend, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we've got a whole lot of stuff coming out in January that we're really excited about. All right, gang, we did it. We got through the big mailbag. It's a lot lighter now. And on to the new year. Talk to you soon.
Bye.